Welcome to Portland Industry Insider. The name of the game today is child acting and modeling, and our guest today is an expert in that field. She's been in this business pretty much her entire life, starting out as a booking agent. She is the co-founder and co-owner of the option agency here in Portland, and it's a pleasure to welcome to the Insider, Kit Just.
Thank you, Michael. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. Thank you so much for letting us film in your space here. It's just such a beautiful space.
Well, it's our pleasure. It's a nice little space to do these types of things in, so we're happy to have you.
Yeah. I'm going to jump right into a question that I always have in the back of my mind, because I get calls from moms with kids. He's so funny around the dinner table. He's so outgoing. He's got so much personality. He loves to perform. Mm-hmm. He should be an actor. Mm-hmm. I would never dissuade anybody from the goal of being an actor or supporting their kids in that. But is that the kind of personality that really thrives as a child actor, especially here in this market or in the market in the world in general?
I think having the ability to perform and do that in front of your family is one thing, but when you get them into our industry with the studio full of people they don't know, that's when you really figure out if it's something that they can do and do well, and we can encourage them to build those skills. But yes, ultimately the answer is yes.
Yeah. And so what are the skills that what are the skills that make for a successful child actor in very practical terms, like looking up at the director and looking him in the eye? I would say, you know, that's one thing that I notice when I work with kids. What other things would you say?
Yeah, they have to be energetic, outgoing, and they have to be comfortable around people. All kids have a different warm-up period, we know that. And most important is for the parents to be off to the side so that they actually listen to the director and the photographer and don't look at the parents for approval.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So they have to be good listeners as well.
What do you suggest that parents do to every kid has his warm-up period. What do you suggest parents do prior to taking them on set to kind of get the get the motor running? So the motor's running when they walk in the door and they're ready to perform. What kind of things do you recommend to parents to help that along? I mean,
normally I like to see people that have taken their kids everywhere they go from the time they first left the house. You know, then they get acclimated to different people, different smells, different
Oh, so you're talking about it's like training dogs.
Yeah. Well, a little bit, just because, you know, not all kids are born with that automatic, you know, loving people thing. You know, they, and a lot of kids in my family, you know, once they were, 3 months old, they were out the door and they didn't change their schedule or what they did every day, every month, every year, because they had a baby. They just adjusted for the baby.
Gotcha.
So the baby has been out and has been with different people all the time and that sort of thing. Where kids that are a little sheltered, which has been really tough during COVID, because they, the new kids and even, the kids 5, 6, 7, didn't go to school, so they lost those social skills, and it's been a little tough, but the clients have been really understanding and knowing that is something that we all have to deal with at this point. But that's what I encourage them to do, is to get out and experience the world.
Yeah. So there's no specifics that you talk to the parents about going in the door.
No, I think maybe doing it if they're a little timid, but have that ability to get into an acting class that's specifically designed for kids. And we have a couple people here in town that are amazing.
Right. What about the kid who's a little more shy and a little more going a little more observational? I mean, do those kids have potential to work in the business?
I think they do, but sometimes it might be, they're 3 or 5 now, and maybe we have to wait till they're 8 or 10.
Right.
And because sometimes they'll come out of their shell, especially once they get into school and they get socialized and experience life more, then they get more comfortable. But that's a conversation I have with the parents. I like to be honest and so they have realistic expectations.
Yeah. I have a client that I've worked with since she was probably 4 years old, and we joke about it now. She's maybe 13 now, and I think from 4 to 10, she never said a word to me.
Right, right.
Not engaged with me whatsoever. She would take a beautiful picture, and I'd say to her, Mom, is she having fun? Oh, she talks constantly in the car afterwards. She loves it.
Right.
But she wouldn't talk to me for the first 6 years I knew her. Now we joke about it because she's a teenager and she's more outgoing with me, and more she goes, well, I was just shy.
Right.
So let's ask this question. We've talked about kids and their personalities. What's the best parent I mean, you draft parents, right?
Ultimately, that is the final decision, is the parents. And the trend, I'm starting to see the helicopter parent trend go away, which is awesome. Although I get it, you want to be protective of your kids and whatnot. But in this industry, it's about the child. It's about them. They get to be the star. They have to want to do it. It has to be their idea. They have to have fun. And if the parent is living vicariously through their child and telling the director, little insights on what they think should be going on, and aren't in the green room or off in the back corner so that they can see because they have a minor child on set, and it's not going to work.
Right.
And I'm very upfront about that as well. We don't momagers. I mean, that's always a big joke in the industry, but and we have a few, but in the ultimate most respectful way. They're amazing. But the other kind that are controlling and give nervous energy and that kind of thing just doesn't work.
Yeah. I tell people, based on my experience with my kids when they were acting and when they were young, is I need to see them, but they don't need to see me. And that's the best way for any parent to approach it when they're working. So
exactly.
What in this day and age right now, and the world has changed because of COVID. It has changed a lot. Taped auditions are here to stay, it seems, where it was just out of town stuff before.
Thank goodness.
Well, the casting directors seem to like being able to sit in their pajamas and watch auditions.
We tried to talk them into it for years, and shipping product and having them do a Zoom fit meeting and that sort of thing, and they just never did it until finally COVID. And so it did have its pluses.
Yeah,
COVID.
Yeah. What can parents expect? What's the up-to-date information on what parents can expect in terms of auditions and travel and the kind of investment they have to make in this? We talked about the big picture things. If the kid's not having fun, or if you're not having fun as a parent,
yes,
then it's time to leave. It's time to get off the bus and let somebody else take your seat. But what are kind of the quick rundown of what to be expected today in the industry?
Today here in Portland, the most that will travel, on a annual basis, we book into Seattle. We have a lot of clients that shoot in Bend, at the coast, the Gorge, Mount Hood. Those are the top 5 locations that they go to. However, we do also book with Athleta in San Francisco, so that's a flight. Client usually pays for that. Abercrombie and Fitch has gone to Bahamas, of which they pay for that travel as well. But those are extreme cases, and those are usually reserved for the kids that are 10, 12 size. Sure. But the little younger kids, it'll be those 5 places that they travel to. And investment-wise, it depends on their age. If they're a baby to 2 or 3T, we can just go with some digitals that we shoot here in the office because they change so fast. When they get to be a 5T, that's when I usually say, listen, it's time to shoot with a photographer. And we have several here in town and in Seattle that are amazing. And they're about $400 or $500, and you get 10 photos out of that. You can always get more, and we use that for our website. We use that for marketing to clients. And usually we can use that one photo shoot until they literally don't look that same. Right. So for the kids, it's not like the adults where you have to keep shooting, every year. And that's usually about it. Yeah. I like to keep it very cost effective, and the college fund is of utmost importance.
I tell people that child acting, and correct me if I'm wrong, but child acting is in many ways really similar to, it's the same as if they're playing baseball or they're playing soccer or they're, doing any other sort of activity. If you're in it to make, if you think you're going to make money on this, then you're probably, there are certainly situations where that happens and it's possible. But if that's your goal, then you're probably going into it with, is that accurate?
It is absolutely accurate. It's one of my favorite things when clients are like, well, how much will they make and whatever. And I said, well, this is the thing. They can make a good amount of money.
Sure.
The average rate for kids here in town is $85 to $100 an hour. And for, a 3-year-old, that's pretty good money, right? And I also tell them that they need to look at it in the way that you just explained, where when we're playing soccer and volleyball and basketball, maybe they'll get a college education, probably not. Maybe they'll go pro. Odds are quite against it.
Sure.
Where with the modeling and the acting, they can recoup their investment, 10 times. And that's the one thing about this business that is great, is that they can make money at 3, 5, 8, 10 years old.
Right. It's definitely something where there definitely can end up being money in the college fund.
Yes.
But it's not a good idea to go into exactly with that impression. Get your feet wet, get a feel for it, see if the kid likes it, see if you like it.
Right, exactly.
Because I know kids who stopped after a few years because mom didn't want to deal with it. Mom just couldn't get the logistics down. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about one of the things that I've said to people about raising a couple of child actors, and they may disagree with me at this point about it, but I think it's true, is that they experience more rejection as kids, more than typical kids do. And I think that is character building in a lot of ways.
Correct.
How do you prepare the parents and the kids for the realities, which is you'll audition 10 times and maybe book once if you're lucky or whatever?
For me, it's really important that they understand that it's not about their child. It's about what the client is looking for. Sure. They, want a 5-year-old, not a 7-year-old, and they may not know that when they're casting kids, and they say, "Oh, send us people 3 to 7." It's like a lot of things. They don't really know it until they see it. They'll never admit that, but that's really how it works. And or it may be they wanted a girl instead of a boy, and they changed their mind last minute. It's about those sorts of things. It's not about their child in particular. So I try to get the parents to kind of really think through how their child's personality and age, how they can explain to themselves how to deal with that, because they know their child best. I know their child, the bookers know their child in a way for clients, where the parents know, where their mental development is, where how their age, their personality type, etc., and they can best handle how to deal with that at home. But I like to tell the parents to just might want to start thinking about those questions, because they will come up.
Yeah, how come I win, I don't get to come back, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So.
And I have some parents that are like, okay, we're going to go here and see some people. They don't make it about the job or money or whatever. It's just it's a fun thing, outing that they're doing. So that helps as well.
And as time goes on, I think that you start to, if you can integrate the message as they get older and start to understand things a little better, integrate the message that going to do the audition is the success, it is the work.
Yes.
And that the booking is the bonus, it's the icing on the cake, or whatever the case may be. Yeah. So let's talk about the LA thing, because here it's like, it's the LA thing. We know what the LA thing is.
We do.
So let's talk about the LA thing, and your experience with this. You know what I'm talking about. So tell me your experience with it.
I have had a few parents say, we really want to take this further and go to Los Angeles. Can we get a Los Angeles agency? And I usually say, no. And they're always taken aback by that. And I said, well, let me explain. If you are really serious about this, these are the next steps you need to do to prepare prior to that. You know, acting classes, making sure you have the right headshots. We try to shoot our headshots very LA oriented, so they segue into that quite nicely. And just preparation on looking at living expenses, looking at, you know, the grocery bills, the commute times, because LA is so vast that you can't get away with doing public transit, nor would you want to. And you can't really do an Uber. I mean, you're looking at $50 each way, so you have to have a car.
Right.
And you have to be prepared for that side of it, that preparation side, and you have to live there.
Right.
You have to pick up your family or one parent and the child that's going to do that and move there, because the agencies in Los Angeles, or even New York for that matter, won't represent anybody who doesn't live there.
Right.
And that sometimes will
Change their minds a little
bit. Yeah, because it's not a sure thing. It's like anything else. You know, you can go to school to be a doctor, but are you going to be a successful doctor? Maybe.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so that's the conversation I have. We like to be very realistic around here and very forthcoming. We don't do the, oh, you'd be great. We
You're a
just
star.
do not do that. It doesn't serve a purpose for anybody.
Yeah, yeah. And at the end of the day, that false perspective can come back to haunt you.
Yes.
In the long run. So
Yes.
let's wrap this up with a little bit of a forecast for the year. We're a few weeks in, not even a few weeks into the year, and what's going to remain strong? Obviously, you're not going to divulge inside information.
Right.
Though this is called the Portland Industry Insider, there's a limit to what we're going to hear. But tell me how you're feeling, what you're seeing, what to expect, and let's talk real quick too about how parents and kids can prepare themselves to benefit going down the road.
Okay. I think for this year, I think we're going to have a much better year than last year. Last year we were dealt several items that really affected production value, or not production value, but productions in particular. Talking with clients and everything is was at a level that just didn't make most people happy. Where this year, now that we're out of the election, COVID is almost behind us, and Portland is on the map as being a popular place for other productions to come here and shoot and film and that sort of thing. I think it's going to be a pretty awesome year. We're really looking forward to it. As far as the kids and the acting, I think it's only going to get better.
Good.
And we're a team that really strives to not only focus on Portland. We like to do, Seattle and San Francisco, and even some LA projects, or East Coast projects, and national clients like Abercrombie and Athleta and Gap and those sorts of things. So,
right.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to share with us that we've missed on our script here?
I think when it comes to kids, it's. I just love doing my job, and I love seeing the kids grow and booking them with the clients and whatnot. And one thing that never gets old for me is seeing them in print and on TV and on the screen. It never gets old after 30 plus years, we'll say.
Right.
I'd just like to end on that note, because it just is the most positive thing about working with the kids. Yeah.
We've known each other for a while, but just met in person, as is the case with this industry.
Right.
It seems, COVID notwithstanding, we didn't meet too much long ago. We've been working together a long time. So, thank you for taking the time to chat, share your wisdom and your experience, and for allowing us to use your beautiful place here as our filming location. And I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. It was a pleasure having you guys here.
Thank you.
Excellent.